Hello and welcome to Andy's Shed Live. This is Series 10, episode number 25 for Sunday the 24th of July 2022. Hello there everybody, welcome to the show. And a few problems setting my system up, so that's why I'm a little bit late today. I've always got an excuse, haven't I? Always got an excuse. But yeah, I had a few issues setting the system up today, so we've not got the chat on screen at the moment, but hopefully we will have in a minute or two. I've just got to set it up. But hello, how are you? I hope you've had a good week. Today we've got the second bit of sorting out this phone. The one that we had last week, we're going to try and do some more work on that today, just when I've got the stream and things sorted out. Just sorting it all out. Doopy-doo-doo. Right. Right, so your channel. We'll get the chat up in a minute. We will. Right, so there's the chat. About chat. Right. Turn that down a sec. Top chat, we want live chat. If you switched on to top chat, by the way, folks, click on the thing in live chat, because top chat for some reason doesn't show all the messages it should, and I have no idea why. Right. Paste that in there. Okay. Right. Should transition now. Should have got the chat on there now. Hopefully you can see it. Add it onto this one as well. Chat. Okay. And you've got it on that camera as well. Is that right? Is that how it normally is? I think it is pretty much, isn't it? Right. Right. We're finally getting there. We are finally getting there. It's took some doing, but we're on the way. Right. So hopefully we can get something done now tonight. Right. Now, what's everybody got to say for themselves in the chat? Oh, actually it's on there, isn't it? I can watch the chat on there tonight. Right, where is it? There. So I can get rid of that and keep that chat box there. So who have we got here tonight? We've got Wesley, we've got Christopher, we've got Miquette, we've got Fat Hobbit, Yeah, nice to see everybody. All saying evening all. Yeah, sorry we're a bit late. Chris says, did you see the photos I sent? I've not looked at them yet, Christopher. I know you sent some this afternoon. I've not actually looked at them yet. It's been mega busy this last few days. Well, it says, Andy, did you see your phones from Dronfield are back on eBay? Are they really, Wesley? All right. We will have to have a little look at that then, won't we? He says, how are you feeling post-COVID? I'm reasonably okay. It's left me with a headache and weird things, but basically, yeah, okay-ish. Miguel says, hi, I like your Belgian kettle phone. Oh, that one you can see over my shoulder. Yes, that's the second one of those. Yes, it's a new arrival. I got one before, and the one I got before I got working. They are a devil of a thing to get working, these, because there are lots of different versions of them, lots of different wiring diagrams internally and that, and finding the right one is difficult, because it's all not written in English, all the instructions and that for them. But yeah, this is the second one. It was a tenner. As you can see in here, it's missing a bit of the handset, missing the earpiece and that in there. But one of those will turn up at some point. And also, and this is the peril of buying things off eBay, it's missing the base as well. Of course, you never think to look underneath, do you? But it's missing the base off it. So we've got to make a base for it, and we've got to get the earpiece a bit for it as well, and the handle's a bit bent on it as well. So it needs some work doing on it, that one. But they are quite nice, and the dial's a bit weird as well. So we'll have a look at that at some point. You can see the handle's bent. It doesn't hold down right. But yes, so we've got that. That has come in. Yeah, so the dodgy guys' phones are back on eBay, are they? Shall we have a look? Right, let's see if I've still got the thing where I downloaded them. Right. So they are one bid at £133, and they weren't on for that much before. Shall I put a bid on them and then not pay him for them? I think that is very, very tempting. Right. I think what we'll do is we'll report the seller, shall we? How do you report the item? Maybe you have to sign in to report an item. So here they are now, 133. There isn't even a report item thing on it. So how do you report? Something. Yeah, there's no thing that says report item on it anymore. Watch it. Add to watch list. Right, we'll watch it, shall we? For now. But there's nothing that says report item on it or report seller on it. Oh, we've got postage on it this time at £35. See, you haven't got postage on it before. We will do something about him. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but we will do something about him. If you see this item on eBay, I will try and show you it if I possibly can. Yeah, if you see this item on eBay from this guy, this 1984 Just Chilling, do not bid on it, because I bid on it and won it for about 80 quid a few weeks ago, and basically he wouldn't get in touch with me and wouldn't arrange for me to collect the item, and he's not far away from me. He's probably less than 10 miles away from me here. His communication was crap, and I think it was just because it had sold for less than he wanted for it. And you buy something on eBay, you win it, and then you're at the mercy of the seller if it's not gone for as much as it should have gone for, or as much as the seller wants. They can just not bother sending it to you, apparently, and eBay don't do anything about it. So this 1984 Just Chilling guy here on eBay, this guy here, do not buy anything off him. He says he's got 100% positive feedback, but he hasn't, because the 100% positive feedback is only in the last year. If you look at his feedback, and if you were to go back more than a year, you would find he has got negative feedback. If you go further back, like he's got one there. Look, if you can see that, can you see that? So he has there. Look, why refund saying damaged or out of stock? Photos were taken of item. So he's obviously refunded somebody there, or is saying, oh no, sorry, I've not got this, for a Scale Extric set that sold for £18. But it says, oh, item damaged out of stock, because it sold for £18, you see. So you think, oh, I could get more for that, so we'll make an excuse not to sell it. But there is definitely negative feedback. But when you look at his page, 1984 Just Chilling, it shows you that he's actually got 100% positive feedback. Well, he can't have, can he? Because I've just shown you a negative feedback on his actual feedback page. So although it says 100% positive, that is a lie. because it's only over a certain time period. So this 1984 Just Chilling guy is in Dronfield in Derbyshire, or Derbyshire South Yorkshire border. Do not buy anything off him. If you are the person that has put that bid on, that item, don't pay it. Whatever you do not pay it, because you'll probably not get the item. So yeah, because like I say, I won the item. Guy wouldn't contact me. Guy wouldn't do anything. And then I got a snotty text message from him saying, "I'm on holiday. I can't dispatch your item." Well, what did you list it for on bloody eBay if you're going to go on your sodding holidays, you muppet? Can't dispatch your item. I'm cancelling it. And then of course he cancels it, and he can cancel it because it's over the time for paying for it, sort of thing. So yeah, 1984 Just Chilling. Avoid him like the plague, is what I say, because I had a terrible eBay experience with him, and when I reported him to eBay were about as useful as a chocolate fire guard. So there you go. Don't deal with him at all. Is what I say. There are plenty of better people that you can deal with on there. Right, what's people saying in the chats? In the chatty chat? Gambo says he's going to be heading off around 7 o'clock as he's watching a comedian, Mark Watson, in Dumfries. Oh, excellent. You're multitasking there, eh, Gambo? Wesley says, those phones, says, strangely enough, they've sold twice now if you look at his completed listings. Once for £75, yes, that was me, and once for £133. Oh, so they've sold for 133 already, have they? Both times appear to have sold, says Wesley. Yes. I'll be heading off 7 o'clock. Oh, yeah, I've read that one. Dominic's going to Dumfries, apparently, into Gambo land. He says he's retracing the Derby to Glasgow leg of the old Thames Clyde Express. Excellent. Well, he says, look at his completed listings, Andy. I'll have to have a look at that, Wesley. Yeah. Yeah, alright, I will have a look at this completed listing, this 1984 Just Chilling. I will do it after the show tonight, because you don't want me to just be ranting for the next hour about some idiot on eBay, do you? So we'll do something else. There are plenty of other people to buy telephones off. Don't buy them off that idiot. Well, you can see the number around me. That one was a tenner. Don't pay more than a tenner for a phone on eBay. It's just rip off. You know, I never pay more than a tenner for a phone. I look at a listing with phones on. If there's 5 phones on, I think, right, how much is the postage? And if the postage is a tenner on the 5 phones, I put an offer in for the phones, 40 quid. You know, because I think £10 each, 5 phones, so it's 40 quid plus a tenner postage. So I put an offer in for 40 quid, and that's the way I deal with eBay. I never, or very rarely, because I do occasionally, very rarely do I pay more than a tenner for a phone. I just let it go, basically. If it's more than a tenner. And people say, oh, we sell on eBay, we want to make more than a tenner. I never sell a phone on eBay. Never. I don't sell anything on eBay these days. It became far too much trouble to sell on eBay, and basically eBay takes too big a cut, so I don't sell anything. I would never sell anything on eBay. Right, okay, right, let's crack on, shall we? Remember, one or two people in the chat have been mentioning the forum. It is still there. gpotelephones.proboards.com is the forum if you want to go and have a look at it. And also the website is still there as well. andyshed.coldpress.net is the place to go for the website. Right, okay, now, so last week we were looking at this phone. This is the phone that came into me in pretty much the condition you see it now, but a lot dirtier. It has had a wash. That has started to get dusty again. It's actually an upside down 706 clone. It's one of those that hangs up like that. But it's got a problem or two. And the main problem it's got is with the little board inside it, which I will show you in just a second. I'll take the top off. Alright. The main problem is this board here. Now this board, what this actually does is it limits, oh sorry, I'm wrong camera, this board here, yeah, oh this board here. Now what this board does when it's plugged in like so, somewhere in there, it limits the volume of the speech if you're on a short line. So if you're near the exchange, you turn this board over, so all this circuit board is, if you look at all the components on this circuit board, you see they are all wired down to these contacts down here. So if you put it in that way round, it puts this circuit board into use, and basically what it does, it's got resistors and a little light bulb thing that's painted black, and basically what it does is it limits the speech. It basically acts to cut down the current flow and that, and limits the volume of the speech through the phone, so the person on the other end doesn't deafen you. In reality, these phones are never that loud anyway, so I always turn these boards that way around. Now if you notice the connections on this end, there's only 3 of them, and they're all connected together, and it's the inner 3 of the 5 connections. Look, on that end there's 5, on that end there's 3, but on this end the inner 3 are all connected together, and that basically just shorts out various things and makes this circuit not in use, sort of thing. Now, so I normally put them back in that way up, so this circuit is not active. Okay, now the problem with this phone, let me get some lights on the subject. It's a little bit dull here today. Right, has that lit it up a bit? Yeah, it has, hasn't it? Right, the problem with this is these little clippy things that hold the board in, some of them are very weak or broken, so they're not holding the board in very well. So what I'm going to do is join together these 3 inner ones here. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to join all those 3 together to simulate the board being in this way around with and joined together by those 3 pads. Then I'll use this board as a spare. I won't actually put the board back in the phone, but we'll join together the 3 clips here. Now to do this, I'm going to take the board out and do it on the back of the circuit board. So we've got to get the board out. So what we need to do is take off that thing first. That's the thing that's going to mount the dial blank. I've been in touch with Brickphone since last week, and he's not got any black coloured dial blanks. He says he's never had any black ones. He's had other colours, which he's still got a few of, but he's not had any black ones. Right, oh, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong screw I'm taking out there. So I want to take the screw out that mounts the dial mounting thing. That one. So we can just lift that out like so. And there's very little actually that you do need to undo on this. Now, how is it held in? I think it's just held in with those two screws there. So I need to get a big screwdriver. Genuine Semicon toolbox down here. Get a screwdriver with a long handle on it, so I can get at those two screws. That one. It seems to be retained, and that one. Again, I think it's retained, which is handy. And then at the front of the board here, there's two little clips, so you have to lift the board at the back and then slide it backwards a bit, and then if you're clever you can just flip it all over like that, and there you go, you see. And here's those connections, and so what I want to do basically is bridge these middle three. So all we want to do is just bridge across these middle three with a bit of solder or something. So we're going to try and do that. Now I have got a soldering iron here warming up, because I'm prepared today. Here is a soldering iron warming up. I just realised this soldering iron's not got a very good tip on it. Could do with a new tip on it really, this soldering iron, but I think we'll make it do for now. We'll find a bit of solder, and what we're going to try is to bridge out these three middle contacts. It'd just help if I could see it. It's taking a bit of warming up. Maybe soldering iron's not really big enough to do the job. As I say, could do with a new tip on it really, this soldering iron. I just grabbed it from upstairs because I left the one I normally use at the radio station like a fool. No, definitely got to change the tip on this iron. I will see if I can find another tip for the soldering iron. Looks like I may have got a slightly better one there. Right, bear with me a second, and we will change the tip on the soldering iron because I found a clean one. One moment, please. You can tell it's live. Just changing the tip, which of course is hot at the moment. So it just screws in. Drops it on the floor. Put it on there because that's metal, right? And screw in a different one instead. Right, let that one warm up now then. Let that one warm up now, shall we? I'll just go back to the chat room while we're waiting for that to sort itself out. Yeah, it says the ballast was painted black, the little bulb, as many people thought their phone was on fire. In fact, one subscriber dropped the phone in a bucket of water. This was in the 60s, and a true story. Yeah, I've heard that story before about the phone being dropped in the bucket of water. I think it wasn't out when there were red phones either. But yeah, the little light bulb in the ballast, which is basically a little fairy light bulb. They do paint them black so they don't glow. That's exactly right. You're dead right there. Gambo says, you're like me, Andy, always struggle to melt the solder, then when it does melt it goes everywhere other than the joint you want to make. Yeah, the problem I'm having with it, Gambo, is well, two problems basically. One, the tip of that soldering iron was absolutely knacked. It's not the soldering iron I normally use, but I left the one I normally use at the radio station because I've been soldering bits of radio station together with it. But I don't know if you can see the tip of that. It's absolutely at it basically. But luckily I've got a spare one, so it's just warming up now. And the other problem that I've got is it's modern solder. It's this lead-free solder, and it's useless. It really is poor. It just doesn't melt, this lead-free solder. It's awful stuff. And the soldering iron is on. It just does not want to melt. So getting a solder down that gets hot enough is difficult, and this one generally does get hot, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be doing so today. Oh, it's starting to go now. It's just starting to go. There's a dead bit of the thing dropped out. Right, so I can show you it now. So these inner three are what I'm wanting to bridge together. So I'm wanting to bridge that to that, which I think I've done successfully, and then I want to bridge that to this. I might have to put a bit of wire in to bridge them. So we've flowed them all, so it looks like I'm going to have to put a bit of wire in to bridge them. So they now need a little bit of wire from somewhere. Right. So that across there then. Should, I think, just about do it. So, I found a little bit of wire. Yeah, you see, we'll just cut that. That's all we need. A little bit of copper wire there. And I could try and tin it, but I need 3 hands. So I'm just going to try. I think there's enough solder on there that hopefully I can just melt it into it. There we go, like that. And into the next one along, like that. And finally into the third one, like that. And what we've done there, I believe, is wired those 3 together. So what we should have managed there is to wire together that, and that. So that should make that work. Right, I'm just going to let that cool down a second. Here's that old bit out the soldering iron, and I'll show you how bad this bit is and why it wasn't working. Because anybody who does soldering, who's good at soldering, look at this in disgust. But you can see how it was all eaten away and nasty and that. So that's why it didn't work. So that's fit for the bin, that one. Right. So I did have another circuit board out of a 706 as well, and I found a spare circuit board, and I got it down and found that the other circuit board that I got was slightly different, probably a different manufacturer. So rather than put the other different circuit board in, I thought we'd persevere with this original one, because originality is quite nice to maintain, isn't it? So there we go there. Screws. So that screws back down. And then this dial mount thing, you see on this, it's got this very unusual thing on here where all the dial connections are just basically parked. The grey brown and blue, is it grey, brown and blue that's parked? Yeah, grey, brown and blue are all parked here. Grey there, brown in the middle, blue there, but pink and orange are a little screwed together. So if you want to take a dial out of a phone, the way to do it, if you remove the dial, is just park your grey, your brown and your blue all separate, but pink and orange, join them together, and then your phone will work without the dialing. So put that back in there. Put that back in that little screw thing there, that hook thing it goes in. Tighten up the screw, and there it is. back together. So now that phone should basically be back together. Now one thing we do need, of course, is a resistor here, a 3.3 kilo ohm resistor to bring it up to modern specs between T4 and T5 on there. So I just happen to have here some 3.3 kilo ohm resistors. Not been opened, this bag. This is a new bag of resistors. I need to poke a hole in the back so I can get them out. There we go. So here they are. I think these got to be a couple of quid for quite a large quantity of them, as you can see. Just take one off the end there. Some people ask me about what wattage these resistors should be. I don't think it massively matters. I think these are about half a watt. These ones, or maybe the 1 watt. They're somewhere around that area. But what we basically do is bend these so they will go around these screws. So I've bent that into shape. I don't know if you can see what I've done there. I've done this many times on the channel before, so my apologies if you've seen this all before, but I've bent that to shape so that will sort of hook around, oh, not them ones, it's that one. That will sort of hook around those two screws, and I've bent it in such a way that when you do the screws up, it will actually want to wrap it around the screw more, not unwrap it. When you do your first one, you will see what I mean about that, because if you bend it the wrong way around the screw, it wants to unwrap it. It's a bit fiddly. There it goes. There it goes. You can see that is now set up in there like that. I'll bring it a bit closer to the camera, you'll be able to see it if I can focus it. So you see what I've done there. Yeah. Cool. So that should be good now. If we were to put a line cord on that now, and unfortunately I don't have a line cord handy, which is a pain in the bum, but if I was to put a line cord on that now, it should work. As I say, I don't think I've got one handy just at the minute. Just looking. No, I don't think I have. So we'll have to stick the line cord on next time and get it working. But basically now I've soldered B, C and D there together, so I no longer need to put that in, so I can keep that as a spare part for another phone in case I get a phone that's missing one, because I normally do leave them in, but as I say, I disconnect the circuit board by putting them in that way up, so just those three things connect. So hopefully this will be okay. Once it gets a line cord on, we'll be able to give it a try. Right, how are we doing? What's everybody up to? Gambo says, my soldering iron came from Aldi or Lidl, so nothing fancy, but eventually did the job. Yeah, strange you should say that. This one came from Aldi. Is it? I will show you it if I possibly can. I can tilt that camera a bit there, and then do that. There. And it's one where you can turn it up and down. This one is an analog one where you can just turn it between like 1 and 5 on the dial. I normally have it up on max. I did later go back and get one with a digital readout on it, which is at the radio station now, because I've like I say, that's the one I normally use, that's at the radio station, but this is the old one. But yeah, it's pretty good. It came with two little reels of solder on it, as you probably know, but that solder is not brilliant, shall we say. But there we go, I'll turn it off now anyway. So yeah, but yeah, they're actually pretty good. Soldering irons from Aldi and Lidl are pretty good, except for the battery powered one. I do know somebody who bought a battery powered one out there, and the battery powered one was not very good at all. Christopher says, on Friday, while it was trace spotting, the Shell refinery air raid siren sounded. Apparently there was a leak or something. Wasn't actually an air raid then, Christopher. The Russians weren't coming for you or anything like that. Or maybe the Ukrainians. Dominic said, did you say this might have been a railway phone, Andy? Yeah, I'm suspicious it might have been, Dominic. Yeah. Yeah, I am thinking it may have been a railway phone. With it being an upside down phone and no dial on it, because the railways were known for doing things on the cheap, and particularly London Underground was known for doing things on the cheap regarding telecoms, and they had quite a lot of these what I call upside down phones on London Underground at one time, because I think it was cheaper to have these and turn them upside down than it was to have proper wall phones. And of course, in the beginning you couldn't get proper wall phones. When the 706 first came out, the wall version was a few years behind. So for a while, if you wanted a wall phone, you had to either have a Bakelite wall phone, just like you'd always had, or you had one of these turned upside down. But it's not the most elegant solution, turning one of these upside down, because the wire hangs down, you know, the curly cord hangs down like that, so it's not the most elegant thing. But can you imagine that in a signal box or something? Does that look like it'd be in some sort of signal box? I sort of can. So I'm thinking it may be railway related, but as I say, I'm not 100% certain on it. I think it might be. It was filthy when it came. It was really manky and horrible, and I have given it a wash and a bit of a polish, but I've still got to do something about the dial blank. It is looking like I might have to get one that's a different colour and paint it black, because finding a black one seems to be a bit tricky, shall we say. Oh, I forgot to put that in before I put the top on, because that's the thing that holds the dial blank to the case, basically. I could do with putting that back in, otherwise I'm likely to lose it because I'm an idiot. I also want one of these top screws, because you'll notice this has only got one. It did have two when it came, but this top mounting thing, I think it's actually brass and then chrome plated, and the chrome plating got all verdigris on it over the years, and basically it had completely stuck this screw in, so I had to get a little Dremel with a grinding bit on the end of it and grind the head off this screw to get it apart. I've never had one that's done that before, but it was so stuck together, this one. Never had one that bad before, but this one was. So that was my problem. Right, that's fixed back in there now. Put that back in like that, and it's all back together. So it should now work just when we put a line cord on it. So we'll return to it next week, and we'll have a little look at it with a line cord on there. Right, Gambo's off, he says. Okay, folks, says, got to go. See you next week. Bye, Gambo. See you next time. Dominic says the phone was possibly on British Railways. It seems for a while they continue to use a wooden wall phone with a Bakelite handset. Yeah, I've got one of those somewhere. But yeah, they did use those in signal boxes, it is true. Wesley says, what have you been tapping, Andy? I spy a dormer package. Cracky, Wesley, you've got good eyesight. You do indeed spy a dormer package. A little set of dormer taps. There's a story to these. A friend of mine in Sheffield runs a business repairing braille writing machines for the blind. Think something called a Perkins Brailler. If you Google it, you'll find what a Perkins Brailler is. It's a machine about that long and about that deep and about that high, with 5 keys on it, a bit like a court stenographer's machine, and you put a piece of paper in it, and basically it punches braille dots, whichever combination. It's 7 keys it's got on it, not 5, because it's got 3 dots at this side, 3 dots at this side, and a space bar, so it's got 7 keys on it. And by whatever combination you type of these 7 keys, it prints a braille character. And they're purely mechanical machines. There's no electronics in them at all. They're purely mechanical, and they are still made to this day by Perkins in America. Been around since the 40s or 50s, I think, these machines. And they're, like I say, they're still made today, purely mechanical, wonderful old-fashioned engineering, and really good engineering as well, quite precise engineering. But of course they do get bashed around when they're used, because schools and local authorities have them for kids at school, you know, for kids that can't see at schools, or visually impaired adults that they give them to when they come in to do adult education classes and things. And of course people buy them themselves as well. So there's a lot of them out there. Basically, if you're blind or partially sighted, and you want to write Braille, this is one of the best ways of writing Braille, because you don't have to plug it in, and that it's a simple machine. But as I say, they do get bashed around and dropped and that, because basically, because they're used by blind people that a lot of the time, they do get accidentally shoved off the ends of tables and things. So Alan has a business repairing them and servicing them when they need servicing, and he got one that came in, and there's a very strange little screw thing that holds part of this machine together. It's not really exactly a screw, it's a strange hollow screw, which has a very big but very fine thread on it, and it's an oddball size. And we had to ask Perkins in America what size it was, because although I've got a set of thread gauges, none of my thread gauges fit this thread on this thing. And basically it's a steel hole that has an aluminium, this weird aluminium screw goes into it, and this particular one was somehow chewed up. The thread in the hole was chewed up. I think somebody had put something into it that they shouldn't have. Chewed up the thread in the hole, so every time you put one of these aluminium screw things in, it ruined the aluminium screw thing. It wouldn't go in. You could force it in, but of course it chewed it up because it was aluminium. So we need to tap the hole out again, or at least clean out the already tapped hole. So we went to Perkins and said, what size are these things? And they told us it was something called I think it was Unified Extra Fine or something. That's what they said. And I googled it and realised in America there's something called UNEF, Unified National Extra Fine. So I thought, right, it's an American size. It's one of those weird American imperial sizes that you don't get much over here. So I did a Google search for a set of taps, because anybody who knows anything about tapping holes knows you have three. You have three taps to tap the hole out fully, and each one cuts a little bit deeper into the thread. So you buy these taps in a set of three. So I searched online for somebody who had got some of these, and I found a company in the UK that had got a set of these taps, and I thought they were going to be new taps. So I paid my 15 quid, I think it was, to this company, and they sent me a set. Now I thought they were going to be brand new, but when they arrived, this is what arrived. Now it's a UK company, it's an American size of tap, but a UK company had them in stock, and it turned out they're Dormer taps. Now what you may or may not know, or Wesley probably does know, is where Dormer taps are made. Because they are made by the Sheffield Twist Drill and Steel Co. Actually just down the road here in Sheffield. So to tap these holes in this machine that was located in Sheffield, we had to contact America who then had to tell us the American size of the of the taps that we needed. Then had to find a company in the UK that was selling these American taps. They then sent us these American taps back here, and what they actually sent us were taps that had originally been made just down the road here in Sheffield. So these taps have probably been halfway around the world and back. So they are to mend a Perkins Braille machine, so they will be winging their way back to Alan in Sheffield so he can fix his this Perkins machine that needs them mending. So they're a very unusual size. If you know anything about taps, as I say, they're sold in a set of 3. These look brand new. I mean, they're in a wonderful old box. I mean, I'm quite impressed. I thought they were going to be new taps, and I was quite happy when I found their old ones, because if you know anything about tools and steel, you know if you get old ones made in Sheffield, they're going to be way better than any modern ones you can get. There they are. You see a set of 3. All slightly different, because there's one that just starts to cut the hole, then the next one cuts the thread a bit deeper, then the next one cuts the thread a bit deeper still into the hole that you've tapped. So yeah, that is the story of the Dormer taps. So that's what they're here for. So well spotted, Wesley. But, yeah, a story indeed behind them. Christopher says railway signal boxes in Australia still use CB or dial GEC or Ericsson 711 phones, or 741s or N1065s. And metro trains still use PMG 802 rotary phones in the signal boxes. Cool. They must still have their own exchanges then, I'm guessing, that are running them. Oh, Fat Hobbit's off. See you later, Fat Hobbit. See you next week. Right, so yeah, so that's the story of the Dormer taps and that. It's marvellous stuff. But yeah, but do you also like the screwdriver? Because what you may not have spotted is this screwdriver is actually one that I restored during, I think it was the first lockdown. I realised I'm a devil for going to car boot sales and steam rallies and things and rummaging around in the sort of 10p box under the trade stalls and buying old tools. And I had got, over time, a lot of these screwdrivers with what I call gel handles, these plastic handles and that. And they're normally all scratched up. You can't see through them like this because they're all scratched up or they're covered in paint where somebody's used a screwdriver for prizing it off a paint tin. Naughty. But I'd got lots of them, and I thought I'm going to try and restoring these handles. I was inspired by a guy called Scout Crafter on YouTube who does some brilliant tool restorations, old tools. So what I did was I cleaned up the handles, and they're very difficult, and you can't really sand them too much because there's stuff written in place on them, see, and you don't want to sand them because obviously you sand off the embossed writing on them. So I just sanded them where I could, where they were smooth and that, and they still look quite rubbish. But then I found I got some polyurethane high gloss varnish, and I varnished the handles, and what the varnish did with all these little micro scratches in the handles was similar to what auto windscreens do when they fill a chip in your car windscreen with that resin stuff, and you know you can't see where the chip was because the resin has the same it's the same sort of refractive value for the light as the glass is. Well, turns out the stuff that I painted this with has got the same refractive value as the gel handle, and it made them all basically come out like new. Now, if you do use them, you do end up, if you use them a lot, you do end up scratching them up again and that, but I restored quite a few. So I've got another one here, a bigger one here, another bigger red one. This is another one that I did. But I did some yellow ones as well. This one I use quite a lot because it's a little screwdriver. It's handy for doing telephones. I use it quite a lot, this one. So this one's kind of lost its gloss again because I have used it a ton. But it is one that I restored, and I even reground the end of this one because it got all banged up on the end as screwdrivers do. So I did quite a few, and some worked better than others. Did I do this one? I think I did this one. So yeah, and again I've reground the end of this one. So yeah, I did quite a few of them over time, and I have got a blue one to do that I haven't done yet, but you can see the difference there. Can you see how you can't see through that one because it's all scratched up and stuff? If you look at that one at the side of the red one, you see the difference. But I will do that. I will do this blue one at some point. It's actually bent a bit, this blue one. You know, the shaft of it is a bit bent if you look at it, and but it still works. So I will clean that one up at some point as well. So yes, that's what I've been what I did through some of the first lockdowns. I'm back in here. I was cleaning up ancient screwdrivers, and that, so I quite like them. I did some wooden handled ones as well, and revarnished the handles of some wooden handled ones. It's quite a nice little therapeutic project to do during the lockdowns. Right, I think maybe we're getting as far as we're going today. Wesley says, is it a footprint screwdriver? I'm not sure. I think some of them are Steadfast, Wesley, which is another company in Sheffield. That one I don't think has got anything written on it. Steadfast ones, you can tell from the handle, Steadfast one, they're a slightly oddball shape, some of them. Who made this one? Oh, this one's Swiss made, this one. Carotine, Swiss made, this one. Some of them are Sheffield ones, I'm sure. I don't know a massive amount about them, but I think footprint ones are this shape, aren't they? A handle. I don't know. Not that one's not footprint, I don't think. Whose is this one? This one made in the USA. This one was a really bad one. You still can't really see through it all that much, but it was a really bad one. It's a nice one. It's orange. It's a very unusual colour, this one. But this one's made in the USA. USA tools. Tools made in the US are usually very good. You know, Sheffield tools are good, but tools made in the US are often very good as well. Is that, oh, that one might be a Steadfast one. Don't know, can't see a name on it. There's something on there that's rubbed off. This one, this screwdriver, is a special one because it opens out and it allegedly grabs the screw. If I put it under here and show you. Alright, now you see the end of that? It's got like a split end on it. If you look at it end on like that, when I put this collar down it, can you see what happens? The two ends go, the two sort of blades go one above the other and open out a little bit. So what happens is that allegedly grabs a slotted screw. I say allegedly because they're not brilliant. There was a show on TV a few years ago that James May did, where basically he had things that had been taken apart and put them back together. And one of the things he did was a Bakelite telephone. And he said that he'd been given this screwdriver, or he'd borrowed this screwdriver that was a GPO screwdriver that was used for making telephones. It was one of these that holds the screw. Well, actually these are made in America. so I don't know if the GPO did use them or not, but that particular one was made in America. But he said you need it to put some of the screws into the telephones, and it does help sometimes, but I find the screws do fall out of them, and that you can't tighten the screw up with them either. You have to just put it in, just start it, and then you have to change screwdrivers and go to another screwdriver to put it on, to put it, you know, to tighten it up. So you can't tighten the screw up with it, but it does work to some degree. However, the way I've always done it, if you haven't got one of those fancy screwdrivers, normal screwdriver, get your screw, little bit, tiny bit of blue tack in the slot of the screw, stick it on the end of your screwdriver, then put it into whatever you're wanting to put it into, tighten it up. And 9 times out of 10 the little bit of blue tack will come back out on the end of the screwdriver. But that's the way I've always done it. But that, it sort of works, but it's not foolproof. It's like all these clever inventions that you get. They look good, but they're not totally foolproof. I went to an auto jumble a few years ago and got a one size fits all socket, you know, a hexagonal socket. And basically what it was a hexagonal socket, quite a big one, with lots of spring-loaded hexagonal things within it. So it looked a bit like, to look at it, it looked a bit like the Giant's Causeway, if you look at the Giant's Causeway from above. And the idea was you put it over a nut, and just the hexagonal things that were the size of the nut you'd put it on, they depressed and left all the ones around the edge to grip the nut, so you could turn any nut or bolt with any with just this one socket doesn't work in practice. Doesn't, you know, nice idea in theory, doesn't work in practice. So yeah, but I do have quite a few oddball, weird and wonderful tools and that. When I go to various places, to these shows and things, if there's a stall, if there's a junk stall and that, I rummage through the toolboxes and find all the oddball tools and things out of them. So yeah, I'm going to put my dormer taps in this toolbox actually, because then I shall take that toolbox to Sheffield, and then remember to take those taps to Alan. Yeah. And these pliers, these were my dad's, these needle nose pliers. I had these for years. Don't know where they came from. No idea at all. But I've had them for ages and ages and ages. Cool. Right. I think that is probably almost as far as we go for today. I'm just having a look what we've got here. Wesley says that sounds like a gator grip. What's a gator grip, Wesley? Chris says if I work in a railway signal box, I would use my GPO 746L or my rare Ericsson 1970B phone in the signal box. Cool. Yes, says Footprint was the make used by the GPO and made to their specs. Yeah, well, Footprint were made in Sheffield again. I think they did make screwdrivers and that. They're really known in Sheffield, Footprint, for making chisels. That was the main business. So I guess going from a chisel to a screwdriver is not a massive jump, is it? But the main thing that I've always known them for is chisels. Christopher says, I see you have a GPO 746 phone with no case in the background, Andy. I'm glad you mentioned it, Christopher. How did you see that? Because it's behind me. You people have got good at this. Must be in higher definition than it used to be. Yeah. Now, I've got no idea where this came. This turned up in the post the other day. I'm glad you mentioned it, Christopher, because I did want to mention this. This rocked up in the post the other day. I haven't ordered it. I haven't bought it. It just came in the post with no card or anything inside it. So, thanks to whoever sent it, but who did send it, please. Now, there are one or two suspects who it might be. I think it might be Arthur, who, although he never appears in the chat on these streams, he does watch. So if it was you, Arthur, thanks very much. And if it wasn't Arthur, and you know who it was, get in touch, and we will do a restoration on it, because as you probably know, I've got loads of cases and not many chassis. So this chassis will get a case on it. It looks, if the line cord is, if the curly cord rather is to be believed, it looks like it was a grey one. But I'm kind of tempted to change the colour because I've got a lot of grey ones. So I'm kind of tempted to maybe do it a different colour. But yeah, it's always good to get a chassis because I've got literally hundreds of cases that I haven't got chassis for. As you'll probably know if you've seen some of the previous episodes. So yeah. What is it? Is someone looking to marry it to one of your cases? Yeah, I'm sure it is, Wesley. Yeah. Wesley also says, I have a Footprint hacksaw I inherited from my dad. Yeah, I think they made all sorts. The company was actually called Footprint Tools, wasn't it? My dad had a set of chisels, a set of wood chisels, just a little set that were Footprint. I remember him getting them new sometime in the 1970s. What it says, a gator grip is one of those sockets with a load of pins that push in around a hex head. Yeah, oh, that's it then, Wesley. It was one of those, and it was absolutely useless. It really was poor. Because they're all on like little spring things, and when you twisted it, all the spring things sort of broke and pinged out. Yeah, it was rubbish. Christopher says, I was rewiring my telephone wood switchboard with my GPO 162 phone. Crikey, bit of rewiring work going on there, was a Christopher. Let's just have a little look before we go for those photos that Christopher sent in, because he sent them in this afternoon. I've not had a chance to have a look at them myself yet, so we'll see if we can find them. Which hopefully we can. So yep, here we are. Right, okie dokie. So it's that one, I think. Okay, so I can transition that and show you. So there, the first one says, hi Andy, a few photos of my Ericsson 1970B. So both of those there are of course clones of the 706. 1970B, 2BT. Are they both the same? Have they both got exactly the same code number on the bottom? I'm not sure. Very unusual bases on these. These bases don't seem to pop up here. I wonder if this was a thing for Australia, because I've not seen bases like that here. And also inside them is very unusual. With all that sort of circuit board and the capacitor and that on the back of the dial. It is very unusual. That exact Ericsson model, maybe they were available here, but if they were not common. It's a very unusual type, that. So if you've got one, let me know. Anybody out there who's got one, other than Christopher, who's got two, let me know, because it's a very unusual phone, that. When you get inside, it's even more oddball on the inside than on the outside. But the outside's interesting because it's an interesting combination of standard parts. It's unusual, that. Very unusual. Right, I think that is probably about as far as we go for today. Thanks to everybody for watching and taking part in the chat and everything once again. Remember, if you like what we do here, you can join us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Andy Shed. You can join all those folk who are patrons already. We will be back here, all being well, around about the same time, same place next week, with more live. I'm hoping I might have the dial blank for this, and I'll find a line code as well, so we can try and get that going next week. Also next week we might have a little go at the kettle phone and see what we can do with that as well. But from me for now, thanks very much for watching, and we will see you all next time. Bye for now, everybody.